All right, good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone, depending on when you are watching this. This is going to be the official announcement video for all rule changes that are going into effect for January of 2019. This video is going to be posted the first week of June in 2018, so everyone will have about 6 months to get adjusted to the idea of any possible changes coming up. Most of these are nothing too world-breaking, nothing that's going to really affect anyone in too much of a way, but we still like to give everybody a little bit of a heads up about them. So with that said, we are just going to jump right in. And some of these are not necessarily rule changes. Some of these are, like the title says, strictly announcements, but we do still want to announce them ahead of time. That way people can prepare for them. So our first announcement is going to be the introduction of NADAC certified trainers. Now, it's been known for quite a long time that the success of an area highly depends on the trainers available in that area. Most of our areas that have full trials, incredibly large trials, all have a consistent number of trainers teaching NADAC skills. And it really does make sense quite easily. The best way to progress a venue is to have lots of people teaching that venue, because no one really wants to participate in a venue that they're not successful in. And if there are other trainers for other venues, it's much easier to be successful there because you have someone to help you. Because of this, NADAC is going to be offering a training program for competitors or current trainers to be certified as a NADAC approved trainer. Now, the process will involve a 2-day clinic focusing on how to teach NADAC specific skills. The first clinic will be probably in May or June of 2019. It is free to attend. NADAC covers the cost of the facility. You will have to cover your cost to get there. So you'll have to cover your own plane, driving, whatever way you choose to get there. But NADAC covers the facility, so we do not charge anyone to attend. You will be able to attend for free. Each applicant will have to go through a review process to ensure they have an attitude that is conducive to being a trainer. So if you maybe are short with people or do not enjoy teaching people, we would probably try and filter that out in the review process before you actually come to a clinic. There will be a limited number of applicants in each clinic so we can focus on everyone properly. We will have a few different trainers there ideally, but until this really takes off, we'll just have to see how the first clinic goes. So we are going to limit it to a relatively low number until we get the ball rolling. Once you are approved and you have completed the clinic, NADAC will help with advertising you as a trainer, helping with a class syllabus, access to a trainers only helpline for problem dogs, and a lot more. Basically, we want you to be as successful as possible. So we will pool our resources together to make that happen. So advertising in your local community, helping you with what your classes should focus on, what you should do in each class, how long they should be. We will basically give you a guideline for all of that, which you will be allowed to tweak if you want. But if you want to just follow the guidelines for what we know works, you'll be able to do that as well. So you do not have to be a professional trainer to apply to be a certified trainer. You do have to have a dog that is relatively well trained. So we'd like to see at least a versatility natch on your dog. If you do not have at least a versatility natch, then we would like to see some other credentials that would show that you have a relatively good grasp of training. If you're interested, please contact NADAC and ask for more info about the process and clinic dates in 2019. We will have more info coming out shortly. Currently, we are pretty focused on championships, but after that, we will start focusing on this as well. Next up, we have the introduction of a play area for non-entered dogs. Now, starting in January, we will be allowing non-entered dogs of a trial to enter fun runs in a separate ring. Now, there are going to be quite a few stipulations on this. The ring has to be fully enclosed, and it needs to be a certain distance away from the main ring where dogs are trialing. So 2 ring trials alternating where the rings are directly next to each other would not be an example of where this could be used. You would need your main ring, and then the play ring will have to be separated. At this point, we have not come up with a set distance, but that will be announced in January. But a set distance away from the main ring so as not to distract any dogs running. The ring must be fully enclosed. It must be monitored by a member of the club hosting the trial. Dogs will be allowed to stay in the fun ring for a maximum of 1 minute and 30 seconds, and we might also adjust that time depending on how it works at some of our test locations. And they will be limited to a certain number of entries per day. In other words, you can't just pay for 6 fun runs and then go and sit in there all day. It will be limited. Now, obviously the point of this is just to increase participation. You have a lot of people that show up to shows and maybe they want their dogs to play around. It is a great way to get people interested by just letting them play. So this will be the option for that. Now, dogs will not have to be registered with NADAC, but if the dog is not registered with NADAC, and obviously they're not entered in the trial, they do still need to fill out a liability waiver, which is what everyone signs anytime they enter a trial. So you will just have a stack of those next to the ring, and whoever wants to go in and do the fun run will need to sign that waiver. You will not be allowed to play if you do not sign that waiver. But dogs do not have to be registered with NADAC to enter the fun run area. There will also be a minimum age, but it will be drastically lower than the 18 months of what is currently allowed in NADAC. It'll probably be something similar to 6 to 8 months. There will be no jumps allowed in the fun ring. And again, all safety aspects are still active. So if you would like to put your dog on a contact, but you're having to drag them over, you will be excused from that ring. Basically anything that is possibly endangering your dog, you'll be excused from that ring. All right, next up is going to be achievement awards. Now, starting in January, NADAC will be introducing a new award. This award will require some of our current awards to be renamed, as really they need to be renamed in general because we have some naming issues going on with some of our awards. And we'd like to fix some of that, and this will also open up this name for a more appropriate award for what it's currently named. The awards that are going to be renamed are currently the Achievement Cups, which are a bonus run, distance only award. If you'd like more info on what the Achievement Cups currently require, you can check out the NADAC website, and then under exhibitor info or titles and awards, there is a link to all of current awards and what you need. And you can kind of see what they currently need, but it is strictly a distance and bonus award. Now that will change. They are going to be renamed to distance cups. So you would have a silver distance cup, a gold distance cup, and a purple distance cup. So a silver achievement cup will become a silver distance cup. Now what this is doing is it is opening up the name of Achievement Award so we can use it for a new award that will be an option for dogs who are not excelling at the chances class in the elite level. The award will still require 230 points in elite regular and 130 points in elite jumpers, but for the chances qualification, the dog would have the option of getting 160 points in open chances to earn a gold achievement cup and 200 points in novice chances for a silver achievement cup. The goal of this change is to give some success to the teams who aren't excelling at distance while also giving them a goal to work towards. There would also be an option for a gold versatility achievement cup that includes touch and go tunnelers and weavers, and then that would also apply to a silver achievement cup that includes touch and go tunnelers and weavers. Next up we have, skip that, next up we have some training in the ring updates that are going to happen in January. Now, Training in the ring is changing a good bit starting in January. Currently, the rules are if you'd like to retrain a contact, you are allowed to do so, but you are not allowed to train anything else on that run. And then that also applies to any other training that happens. If you train your start line, we ask that you do not train anywhere else in the ring. From January forward, how the rule is going to be changing is when a dog is eliminated for training, they will be allowed to stay in the ring for 60 seconds of training time, redoing obstacles as they wish. Now, this is 60 seconds total, not 60 seconds from the point of your E. So if you have spent 30 seconds in the ring and you get E'd at the 30-second mark, you have 30 more seconds of training to use. And also, if you get E'd in the first 10 seconds of your run, you will have 50 seconds left of training to use. At the end of your training, the scribe will wave to the judge and the judge will ask you to leave the ring. Now, we've actually found that this makes the trials actually go a little more efficiently, as it makes the scribe actually pay attention to how much time the dogs are currently spending in the ring, whereas currently scribes and judges aren't paying as much attention to that. So this is actually bringing a little light to that subject, and it's actually made our trials run a little more efficiently. Under this new rule, a handler could reattempt a contact multiple times as long as the attempts are made safely. Now, if the dog is endangering themselves or others, the judge will still request them to leave. So if your dog is bailing off the top of the A-frame and at risk in any way, the judge is still going to ask you to either move on from that obstacle, or if the dog is just a danger in general, the judge is still going to ask you to leave the ring. But as long as you can do the obstacle safely, you'll be allowed to come back and train as much as you want. Now, this is going to be the only adjustment for training in the ring at the moment. There are still some other discussions in the works about some other possible adjustments for training in the ring that could happen in June of 2019, but we still need to discuss them a little bit more to kind of polish them up a little bit. All right, and next up, we have grandfathering in and regional qualifying into higher levels. Now, what this will allow is dogs with titles at higher levels of other venues will be allowed to grandfather into NADAC at a higher level. Now, there's going to be two ways to do this: grandfathering in and regional qualifying, and we're going to talk about them both. We'll start with grandfathering. Now, for grandfathering in, proof of the higher level title will need to be sent to the NADAC office as either a copy or a picture of the title certificate with the dog's name shown and the handler's name shown. Now, if the title certificate is not received by NADAC, you may still run at the higher level, but your points will have a value of 0 until the certificate is received by NADAC. So that means you will not get any titles, you will not get any awards, your points will not total up, everything will just show as a 0 at the higher level. Now, once the certificate is received of your dog's qualification in another venue at the higher level, your points will start to accrue as normal. Now, the second is regional qualifying. Now, how this can work is we are going to continue doing the regionals next year for 2019 with NADAC. They are going to be adjusted pretty heavily from how they were this year, but it will all be very positive changes. And there will be another video about all those changes probably in August or September once our last regional for this year occurs. But one of the changes that will happen is if you attend a regional, there will only be 2 levels for regular at all future regionals for 2019. So you will just have the elite level, and those cues would apply towards elite for regular, and you would have the open level, and those cues would apply to open for regular. But what we are doing a little bit differently is that if you would like to come to a regional and you would like to enter at the elite level, we will allow that, and if you get a certain number of cues over the course of the regional event, at this point the number of cues has not been determined, but if you can receive a certain number of cues, then we will allow you to run at that level without proof of a higher level title in another venue. So in other words, if you are strictly NADAC, all you run is NADAC, you come to the regional and you get your Qs in Elite Regular at the regional, you will be allowed to continue to run at Elite. Your points will accrue as normal, all your titles, awards, everything will apply, but you will not need to show proof of a higher level certificate from another venue. This will also apply to the other classes. Even though the other classes will have all levels as normal, so Elite, Open, Novice, and Intro, you still will be allowed to do the same move-up process. So this is kind of a fast track to Elite. If you would like to attend a regional, it will make your path to Elite a lot quicker if you have the skills to qualify. But if you do not qualify, it will not be valid. All right, and next up, we are getting towards the end of our list here. Is just going to be a few smaller updates that do not really need their own page. First up is starting in January, preliminary running orders will be required in all trial premiums. So what that means is somewhere in the premium there will be a list where it says for Friday the preliminary running order is regular chances jumpers. Now, preliminary is the key word here. The club still reserves the right to change this running order as they see fit, whether that be for judging changes, weather issues, whatever the case may be. But 98% of the time, the running order does not need to change, so it will be pretty accurate. But that will be required starting on January 1st. Also starting in January, although you won't actually see it until March, is quarterly emails. We will start sending out an email to every active competitor in NADAC every 3 months, telling them about updates, statistics about the trials, and awards earned for the past 3 months, and just kind of a general newsletter keeping in touch with everyone. The other change will be standardized premiums. Starting on January 1st, all clubs will be required to use a standardized premium. Now what that means is it will have a set layout and clubs will be required to fit that exactly. Now they will be allowed obviously to have extra pages for anything that does not fit in the layout, but roughly the first 5 pages across all trials across the entire country and world for NADAC will be exactly the same. So running orders, start times, entry forms, everything will look exactly the same, whether you're competing in Maryland, Oklahoma, or California. The other change is that gates may be closed while still allowing a Q to be earned, starting on January 1st of 2019. So what that means is if you feel that your dog is a flight risk and they are going to take off, you may come out and close the gates and you still have the possibility to queue. All standard rules still apply. Now, in my personal experience, most dogs, if they are possibly a flight risk and they are going to leave out the gate, they are probably also going to be E'd for being inattentive to the handler and delay of trial. So basically what that means is if you finish and your dog is running around the course and you cannot catch them, you are probably still going to get E'd for that. That rule has not changed in any way. But if they don't, if they finish and you are able to catch them, you will be allowed to keep a queue. We are also going to be showing some videos of what some clubs have now, which are auto closing gates, which under this new rule would be 100% allowed. And they're also currently allowed in NADAC. It's just not as well known as it needs to be. So auto closing gates are allowed and everything is good. And that is the end of our updates, everyone. As I mentioned, nothing too earth-shattering. We are researching some other possible changes, but as I mentioned, we just need more time to polish them up, do a little more preliminary testing with them. That way, when they get released, we do not have to make even more changes right after they are released. So again, January of 2019, expect another video somewhat similar to this one, explaining what those possible changes could be, and those will be going into effect in June. Alright, thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope everyone's having a great time in NADAC. Happy trialing, pet your dogs. Have a great day, everyone.